right. First test here. Taking the car for a ride. Need some sunglasses. Little ride in the MR2 and also a test of the DJI Action 4 paired up with the Rode Wireless Go 2 microphones, and let's see how this all works out. Can't tell if I got a good picture here. Looks pretty good. Can't really see the whole thing, but here we go. Fun times. Hopefully this reduces the wind noise a bunch. I have two of these mics in here. Yesterday it was pretty windy. So let's see how this works. All right. Vibration from the camera a bit. Now that 209th goes through, we'll go this way. So this is a little go-kart. It's exactly the opposite of my Camaro. It's not fast. It does handle well, much like the Camaro, only much lighter. The front end is very light and loose, however. That will be changed in the future. Should I decide to buy this, it will have some improved suspension and hopefully fix the very light front end. But super short ratio, or I should say throw on the shift. It is one of those cars that every time you drive it, it puts a smile on your face. Much better gas mileage than my Suburban or my Camaro. Let's see how this works. This was blocked off last week, and as you probably can see on camera, we have a proper sports car setup with the tack in the middle. It's the Toyota 1ZZ 1.8 liter motor, makes 138 horsepower when it was new. This car is quite far from new. It's got 192,000 miles on it. Whoa, that's a little bumpy there. 5-speed manual. Great clutch, great shifter. Pretty bulletproof tranny. And I'm going to take it out through a few corners. It's really where this thing wants to live. It's not great on the freeway because in fifth, if you're doing 70, you're sitting at like 3,500 RPM. Pull up next to people talking to myself. So there we got fourth gear. 50 miles an hour here, drop it in fifth and just cruise. It's got a little bit of torque down low, not much, but because the car only weighs 2,195 pounds, it feels very light. Probably the most immediate steering of any car that I've ever driven before. Not very many mid-engine cars available in the States. The only one, aside from a few older ones, there's I think maybe a Fiat. There's a few, but the only other really mid-engine car you can get would be like the Fiero, which that would be a complete project, obviously, or Porsche Boxster, which every time something breaks is going to cost you an arm and a leg. This is a Toyota. There's tons of parts. This particular car, as far as I can tell, is pretty solid. yet to climb under it, check out the rust situation, but I don't believe this car will have a lot of rust. The top is in good shape, and now that I cleared a couple drain holes, it does not leak, which is really nice. Hopefully these dead cats are working, because it is I look stupid in baseball hats usually, but it's a bit windy in here. Beautiful day. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, so figured I would do this while I still could. A couple errands to run, and that's really what I want this car for, is just running around town, and then maybe some drives out into the country, or maybe a quick overnight trip somewhere. Easy to rev match your shifts on this thing. Not much power uphill, gotta wind her a little. But you see, we're doing 55, and it feels so much quicker, faster, I should say. Corners that say 20, you could take easily at 40 in this thing, if not faster. And when I'm done with it, even faster. Very light front end right now. Tends to understeer quite a bit, but it's got enough zip. Eventually I'd like to get a bunch more power, maybe up around the 200 horsepower mark, or maybe a little less, maybe a little more. We'll see. Doesn't need a lot. At 200 horsepower, this thing would be a rocket ship. What a great car. Extremely underrated. What's this guy doing? Didn't sell very well in the US. This particular third generation MR2 was made from 2000 to 2007, but only available in the States through 2005, and did not sell well at all. It's kind of direct competition is the Miata, which sold like crazy for a convertible. Great car, but a very different car. Third gear corner, let's do second gear on this. It's a little bumpy. That's where we got. Knowing the road helps a lot. We're up on top of Cooper Mountain up here. And as you can see, this thing is on rails. I'm trying not to go too fast because we have a construction zone here. Alright. Can't beat the Oregon countryside on a nice spring day when there's no rain. 65 down Cooper Mountain. Look at this. Woo. And that's what this car is for. Might be able to see I'm wearing a lav or the transmitter. I've also got another one up in the corner over there to hopefully capture some of the ambient sounds without too much noise. Where do we want to go here? Let's go this way. Don't remember where this tile flat road comes out exactly, but I know the area good enough. wouldn't say the ride is fantastic. It definitely needs some coilovers, and there's a bunch of cool suspension stuff you can do. Most of it's not very expensive, but even with that, look at no body roll. This thing is just, it does feel like it's kind of skipping off the corners a little, so. Let's go, I don't know, let's go this way. This road's got a few little nice corners on it, although it looks like there's a big truck up ahead. I'm thinking that means I'm gonna get stuck behind these guys. Is that smoking that bad? Holy cow. Alright, this is a 20-mile-an-hour corner. We're doing almost 60. Right through it like butter. Watch the uphill on this. Yeah, there's that understeer. Almost leaned it into oversteer. And unfortunately now we've got a big truck. So, one thing that does kind of suck about this car is you really got to plan your passes because it does not accelerate quickly. It's a momentum car. You got to learn how to drive this and maintain your momentum, and it stops very quickly. It does not get up to speed very quickly. Even at the top of the torque peak, it's just not very torquey. So let's go out this way. Take a little drive out into the country. Clear. There we go. Not really revving this up. It does have a lot of miles. It's not mine yet, so we're taking care of it. Check the fluids, everything's good. This particular motor has some design flaws and may need to be replaced in the near future, but it's not super expensive to find a rebuilt one, even less expensive to rebuild it yourself, which I am fully capable of doing. Keep it down here because we got a school zone. In now, right? Spring break's over, maybe. So cruising at 60, a little over 3,000 RPM. Now, if you're not in a rush to get anywhere, it's super fun. It'll go probably 100. It says it'll go 140, but I don't know about that. Mile-an-hour corner, huh? How about 55? Not even blinking. I wasn't even trying. The Camaro will do this kind of stuff too. It's just a lot heavier. It's 3,800 pounds, whereas this is 2,195 curb weight. Fantastic. Let's see what we got here. S2000. That would be a car to own, but they retain their price, their value very well, very sought after car, and not mid-engine, but with a great Honda motor. It's 240 horsepower out of a little four-banger, and as I believe I stated before, this is 138 horsepower from the factory. Woohoo! Oh, we got a flagger coming up here, so we better calm down a little bit. I said it was a flagger, but I ain't seeing a flagger. Right through here. So much fun. A lot of people would disagree with the next statement I'm going to make, but if you know fast bikes, fast cars, or any of that kind of stuff, there's our flagger. Comes up fast. Dang, this was the section that I really wanted to run hard through too, because it's nice and curvy. We got a few coming up. We're headed out towards Newburgh. Put this guy back a little here. Alright. Good stuff. Alright. Oh, do we got another flagger maybe coming up? Tree crews out? I don't see anybody. Anyway, there's a saying that a lot of people will disagree with. Quite often they are not in the know, so to speak. Take our time with this here. The saying is kind of the same for motorcycles and or cars. It's more fun to drive a slow car fast than it is to drive a fast car slow. There we go. Full throttle. Not much there, but not expecting there to be. Coming up here through this road, headed out towards Newburgh. Take this corner, absolutely zero problem. 60 instead of 35. I'd like to have a little more RPM on these so I can hit it coming out. Man, what a day. Hopefully I won't be behind too much traffic if we get into some of the more curvy parts here. There's a 25, a little less curve type of thing. But with a minivan in front of us, don't think I can really show off the capabilities here, so that's okay. You're behind a bunch of traffic. I don't want to ride them too much and seem like a jerk. This car is so tiny. The front end, when you're looking out over the front end, it's just, it's really, really short. Not much storage space, barely enough for maybe a couple of duffel bags for a weekend getaway, which is fine by me. I've got other vehicles for other purposes. And, man, you just can't beat it. If I can get this up to 200 horsepower and some suspension improvements, and then it needs a paint job or a wrap or something, paint's all clear coat's coming off basically. But eventually it'll need a motor. It's an older car. It's 22 years old. It does not feel 22 years old. Very simple design. Everything works that I can tell so far. Even has AC, which is somewhat comical for a drop top, but top is extremely easy to put up and down as long as it's warmed up and flexible. It's a little harder when it's cold because it gets very stiff. It's old, but there are no tears, or none that are significant at least, and that's a good thing because the tops aren't cheap. Yeah, I'm not going to get a chance to really. I'll turn around and come back through this way. Going uphill, you kind of have to plan your shifts, and you're engaged in what you're doing. So it's that's what you want a car like this for. That's the true meaning of a sports car, as opposed to something like the Camaro with 455 horsepower and equal torque. That car is just plain fast and fairly big, not huge, but 3,800 pounds is not a lightweight car by any means. You can imagine how this thing would be with a little bit more power. Even like 180 horsepower would be fantastic, but really there's not a ton of options with this motor to get it up there. It's you can turbocharge it. A lot of people do that. It requires some things that you got to do. You can swap in the 2ZZ motor, which basically bolts right up, and that was the motor they used in the Celica GTS and the Lotus Elise, and that makes 210 horsepower, I believe it is, 200, 210. So it's definitely an option that a lot of people go for. It does make most of its power up in the top end, though. This has kind of more even torque curve, so even though it's a lot less, you don't have to wind it quite as hard to get what you want out of it. So there's some options. And that's just with Toyota. Some people put, I believe it's a Honda motor that does really well on this thing too, but I believe that probably would require some change in motor mounts and, more work. Man, it'd be nice if these guys could get out of the way. Nowhere to pass here, so. But coming into Newburgh, flip it around and come back up over the hill. So far, let's see, what have I put on this thing? About 100 miles maybe. Testing it for oil consumption. One of the flaws that was present in this particular motor, even in the Corolla, is up until 2003 they changed the design, but up until 2003 the rings and there's another component, I forget what, but it caused the car to use more oil, burn more oil. So at 200,000 miles I fully expect this thing to use some oil. As long as it's not obnoxiously bad, it shouldn't affect anything that much. Man, really not getting a chance to get this thing up and going. But here we are down at the base of the hill coming into Newburgh. And we're going to turn right back around and have a bunch of traffic going up. Maybe they'll go a little faster than these guys will. Super fun car for a little weekend getaway. Very easy to drive, even for somebody that's not great at driving a stick. Clutch is doesn't have the most feel to it, but it's really easy to work. Grabs predictably, grabs evenly, and the stick shift is just a joy. It's really short. You can touch it. This is the measure of a good setup, is you can touch the steering wheel and the shifter at the same time. I would like a little more leg room down at the bottom, or put some padding down there, because my leg bumps this center console and it kind of makes it kind of chafes on you after a while, especially if you're going over anything bumpy. But it's not the worst thing in the world. It can be dealt with. Some of you that will see this video know the history on this car, or at least some of it. It was my friend Dan. It was his car. He is no longer with us. His wife has had this. I thought she sold it years ago, but it is been sitting mostly. She has a different vehicle, and this one's not one that you can carry a lot of stuff in. So I have the opportunity to buy it, and I probably am going to. One other thing that needs to be looked into, which I'm planning on doing tomorrow, is these have a known issue with precats. Precats are basically pre-catalytic converters. They're filled with a ceramic sort of honeycomb, and it's asbestos too, so you got to be careful. Quite often what would happen is, over time they would degrade and start coming apart, and those little pieces get sucked back into the motor, and because it's ceramic, it will cause damage inside the motor. I don't believe that's happened with this car, and that could be for two reasons. Number one, they could still be intact. Number two, somebody might have done a preemptive strike and actually pulled those precats off and knocked all of that stuff out, because apparently it was mainly for California emissions and does not affect its emissions as far as most states are concerned. So I don't believe I would have a problem getting it through DEQ. I've read a lot on these things. I'm on three different Toyota forums, and then also an MR2 forum on Reddit, asking a ton of questions, trying to make sure I'm making a wise decision. I think we will turn around in this parking lot right here. It's not a parking lot, but that's okay. Look at this old gravel driveway and stuff. Look at this old house. I love that out here. Newburgh's a cool little town, actually. But we will go. Oh, that road up there looks kind of fun. Let's see what we got here. This one's going that way. This one's coming down the hill. Takes a while to get going uphill for sure. Third gear's got a little more pull. Fourth gear is fantastic for cruising around town. Third or fourth. 40 mile an hour, my ass. 35, nah, I don't think so. Only thing you gotta watch is the bumps. These old country roads. God, this is fun. Gotta throw the weight to that outside front tire, or it's gonna get loose. Understeer on you. 20, huh? I don't think so. That's 45. Chucking this thing through corners is what it's all about. This car is made for this. I hope the audio comes out good on this, because yesterday I took a drive, not quite this long, and there was so much wind noise that it was basically unwatchable. Couldn't really hear anything I was saying, which I'm sure most people wouldn't mind that part, but I wanted to explain a little about what this is. If you ever get a chance to drive one, I highly recommend it. It's one of those cars that just puts a smile on your face every time you get in it. It's got airbags. Definitely one would not want to get in a wreck with this car. Not much in front of you. It's got a little tiny trunk where there's a little tiny spare, and only enough space even without the spare to put maybe like an 18-pack of beer. Carrying stuff in this car is there's a little bit of space behind the seats here, and then there's two cubby holes, both of which can be independently locked, but they open to one large storage compartment. Some say that if you take the end caps out, you can fit a set of golf clubs back there. I don't think mine would fit back there, judging by the size, so this is not my car to take golfing. If I don't have anybody with me, I could probably put them in the seat over here and strap them into something, but haven't been golfing much these days, so not a big deal. And then you get behind these cars going slow, and it's less fun. This gets pretty good gas mileage, especially if you can keep your foot out of it, which I'm not known for, but it's got to be better than the 12 miles a gallon that my Suburban gets. My Camaro can get, 18, 19, 20 around town. Can get, I've had it get as good as 28 or 29 on the freeway if conditions are right and you're going really slowly. Maybe using the cruise control, but I don't typically get that kind of mileage. I'll get 16 around town. Suburban might get 15 on the highway, but it gets like 11 or 12 most of the time. So this would be nice for a little run around town car. It is not easy to get in and out of it. It sits very low to the ground, so if that bothers you, it doesn't bother me at all. Try to stay youthful and flexible, but yeah, it's I thought the Camaro was hard to get in and out of, and this is substantially more difficult, but I don't mind a bit. Sitting low to the ground makes everything feel like you're going faster. Yeah, it just eats these corners up. No roll. And that's on the stock 22-year-old suspension, I believe. I mean, I don't know the history that well. My buddy Dan that owned this car was a mechanic for years as his profession. Even worked at Beaverton Toyota for a while as a mechanic. So I know he did some things to this car. But really, it was just a little round-town car for him. He never wanted to put any extra performance-oriented stuff into this thing. That is what I mean, I could drive it like this forever and have fun, but I would like it to have a bit more power, and I would like the front end to sit a little bit better, because then you could really, really maximize the cornering performance. Get there. Small enough to tuck into my garage pretty easily. Man, look at these views. That's right, I'm going to run into those same tree trimmers up here. In the old days, people used to pull over and let people by. You just don't see that very often anymore. Does that make me sound old? Drop it into fifth. 50 miles an hour or so, 2600 RPM, something like that. Still got a little torque, not much. Really curious to see how these little mini dead cats, I don't know if you can see it on that one up there, but they got little dead cats that screw into the top of them and lock into place. And I'm hoping that makes all the difference in the world for the wind noise. That one should be fairly well protected over there, but this one sitting on my shirt here is being buffeted quite a bit. And they're doing the speed limit, but barely. .38. Clock still works. Original radio, CD player, and tape deck work. I haven't tested the tape player, obviously, but. Just want to go into that corner. Tree trimmers. So the Toyota MR2 2002 is this particular model. If it happened to be a 2003, they got a facelift. And some people like the styling better. The taillights are, I think the taillights are cooler on the later years, 03 through 05. The headlights maybe. I like the front grille better on this model, the 2000 through 2002 version. Once they hit 03, they changed the shape of the grille, and it looks like it's smiling the whole time. And it's a little too cutesy, but all these things are kind of interchangeable for the most part. The side vents also look a little cooler on the latter version. To break into this corner. And Oregon small town and countryside is, I think, one of the nicest places I've ever been to. It's too bad that all the property out here is still outrageously expensive. So I would like to move out of the suburbs, but now is not a time to do that. Practice my heel toe. Haven't done that in years. This might be a good car to do it. The pedals are really close together. Not a lot of room if you got bigger feet, which my feet aren't huge, but Shoal Sherwood Road going over towards Sherwood there. Just a pleasant driving experience if you like to be actively engaged. Definitely not the most comfortable. The seats aren't bad. The seats are pretty good. This one's got a little tear in it. What is this person doing? Wow, gotcha. Okay. Thanks. There we go. All right. So, headed back. Take it out again in a little while. Run some errands. Traffic circles are fun in this thing. Love it. $600 RPM. That's all you need. And you can take corners in this thing in third gear all day long. It's just low enough. Of a gear to be able to take corners. And here we go. This is some 20-mile-an-hour corner. Hit that third gear downshift and right through. Piece of cake. That one's a little bit sharper. A little bit blind. There we go. Pretty much almost didn't have to use the brakes or any of that. Yes, yes, yes. Call that what, California stuff? Hopefully this footage and audio come out good. The camera's pretty shaky where I got it mounted. There's not really a good spot, but we'll see. It's kind of fun playing around with stuff. This hat does not fit my head. It's about ready to fly off. And we should slow down a little for the blind uphill corner and the biker. There we go. Go right around you. This guy's riding his brakes. no idea what you're doing when you do that, buddy. Perhaps you can smells like cows. I don't mind that smell. Kind of a blind corner here, so oh my god, that car I was behind, scary. I think it's a very old person. More days like this, please. Maybe I should do car reviews. That would be fun. Oregonians drive slowly. I'm telling you. Yeah, I gotta fix that flasher. Get out of the way. Now we'll see what we got over here. Probably, I'm guessing. Nope. Younger people that just don't know how to drive, I think. What a fun little car. If everything else checks out, I will be buying this, provided that myself and the present owner can come to the right deal, an agreement. I think we will be able to. And the car's been mostly sitting for a long time. Had a big leak. Well, not a big leak, but the passenger storage compartment behind the seat was filling up with water. It just turned out there's a skirt that collects water that drips down around the top and funnels it into drains on each side of the car. And those drains probably haven't been cleaned out for a very long time, potentially ever. No idea. But it's pretty easy to do. So you would just do that as regular maintenance and keep those things flowing nice and clear. No more leak. Pretty impressive for a 22-year-old car. It's the same year as my Suburban, 2022. Apparently they made some good stuff that year. they made a lot of junk that year too. This car, I would classify as seriously underrated. It's funny too, because we got a Type S shift knob, which I can only assume means probably Acura or something along those lines. When will the construction end? They've been working on this for a long time now. At least they opened it back up, though. It was blocked off for a good amount of time. Let's see, what do we got? Can I get across here? Yes, I can. Oh, God, that's a bump. That's a bump. All right. A little yellowing from sun on the plastics, nothing too significant. It's got this like sort of fake kind of weird pattern. It's like not carbon fiber, but it's not a terrible material. For plastic, it's decent quality plastic. Definitely need a up-to-date stereo in it. It works fine, but I don't carry CDs around with me, and it doesn't even have an aux jack, nor does my phone have a 3.5mm jack, so that wouldn't work anyway. So need something I could connect Bluetooth or whatever the case. But sometimes you just want to listen to the car and the air and the things around you instead of rocking out. I don't know where all the speakers are. I guess there's little tiny tweeters up in the door and the indoors there. Maybe there's something behind us. I don't know. Not sure. Sounds like it needs to be, sounds like it's either blown on that side, or maybe just the balance. But that's okay. We'll get there. $12.52. I gotta look into that flasher though. Left turn signal works intermittently, and I believe it's a flasher. Probably not a bulb, could be a bulb. Easy to park, the most immediate steering of any car I've ever driven before, maybe, or at least up there. Tiny turning circle. Super impressive turning circle. And pretty fun. So that's that. There's that flasher we're talking about. Doesn't work right. I'll fix it. People piling a whole bunch of free stuff out on the curb. Kind of trend started a while back, and I don't get it, because I get it, but it's like it's kind of trashy. So hope you enjoyed my little video here. Maybe you see why these are desirable